Everybody, welcome back to Gossip Without Prejudice, another fine week in Seattle, Washington. I am so excited for the stuff we have on the docket today. My name is John Sosha. Lindsay's name is Lindsay.
Hello.
We are your host and co-host, profiling misconduct across the legal industry and also hopefully humanizing the people involved.
And having some laughs, too.
Yes, and having some laughs. Today in particular, do you want to jump right into the news?
Tell me this story. I'm excited to hear the details of this.
So, as I'm sure everyone has heard by now, the satirical website The Onion wins bid to buy InfoWars, Alex Jones' website, out of bankruptcy court. Well, more specifically, the assets of Free Speech Systems, LLC, the parent company of InfoWars.
Okay, so they weren't just buying InfoWars' website. They were buying the whole company?
The whole assets.
Oh my
all
gosh.
of the assets in bankruptcy court.
That's
Now,
so awesome.
This ends a 6-year escapade in Connecticut and Texas against the plaintiffs of the Sandy Hook parents sued InfoWars for spreading patently false claims that the Sandy Hook massacre was in various ways a hoax, and children weren't real, and the parents weren't grieving over anything substantial.
Terrible shit.
Summarily. And Jones pretty much refused to participate in the legal process that followed. And so he had, I believe, 2 judgments of liability just entered against him in sanction. So he refused to discuss any aspects of his business. Like, he wouldn't even tell in discovery, wouldn't even tell anyone, like, how many videos have you done on the Sandy Hook massacre? And he wouldn't even, like, he just didn't respond.
So extreme withholding of information, just to the point of, like,
just refused to cooperate. And so eventually the judges, after go to knowledge fight if you want a full play-by-play. This is years of jurisprudence condensed into 30 seconds. Basically said, okay, enough's enough. We're going to trial, but only going to trial on how much money you owe. So the question of if you owe money, I'm ruling from the bench that you're found responsible. It's up to the jury to figure out how much.
Nice.
And that's what happened. And so after enough time, they found themselves in bankruptcy court. When Free Speech Systems and I think also Alex Jones personally filed for bankruptcy in an effort to get out of the nearly $1 billion settlement.
$1 billion? Wow. Oh my goodness.
Oh, excuse me. $1.4 billion.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. Free Speech Systems LLC is cooked like
seriously
one hell of a turkey.
Wow.
And you love to hear it, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, this is a cool story.
and this brings us to the fine chambers of Judge Lopez, who's overseeing the bankruptcy in federal court. And at bankruptcy auction, Free Speech Systems was bought by the satiric website The Onion. So The Onion is now going to own InfoWars, its supplement business, a bunch of its social media. And the way The Onion won, Alex Jones had a surrogate that placed a $3.5 million cash bid. But that bid lost because Onion and its lawyers were joined by the Sandy Hook families themselves in what's called a credit bid. So a credit bid is a promise by the plaintiffs to not collect on a portion of the judgment they are owed.
Oh, okay. So we will say we will forego some of the money that we're owed, provided that the Onion buys his whole business.
So the Onion offered less than $3.5 million, but ultimately won because the bankruptcy trustee's job is to protect the assets of the business.
Wow.
On behalf of the creditors, really, and also to make sure what's left of the assets are responsibly managed while the bankruptcy is pending. Now, there is a hearing scheduled for early next week, so we'll update you on how that unfolds. Judge Lopez did express concerns about the secrecy and lack of transparency in the bidding process, and also a little bit of concern over what specific assets were up for sale, like within that sale of the supplement business, particularly Mr. Jones's X account himself. So
really,
Alex Jones' blue check mark is actually one of the assets of the business. It is a business asset.
I'm really surprised that that's a buess asset.
I'm sure Jones
because he monetized it, right? So it was part of his wow.
Well, they turned the frogs so gay that that I guess we're really just cooking on this now. It's just great to see some just desserts here.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see how Judge Lopez rules. The Onions, if I were the Onions lawyers, I'd be pretty confident in this sale moving forward.
Yeah,
and they actually expressed that, like, hey, this thing's locked in. So we'll see what the hearing unfolds next week.
That's awesome.
But I definitely think better chance than not that pretty soon the Onion's going to be parodying itself in like a vortex of meta down the drain.
Okay, so you think that they're going to take his website and publish their own content on it and like keep it going?
They've actually
That was my question.
They've actually directly said that in a tongue-in-cheek article. The publication actually promised to boil all the supplements in the warehouse down into a single vitamin.
Oh, I want to see that so bad.
And then
oh my God, are you kidding me?
Feed it to a single CEO who is not to be named to increase his power and perhaps become immortal. So the Onion is already going, it's already cooking hard.
Classic Onion style.
The Onion's going crazy. So
wow.
there's just really no way out of this that doesn't have a good laugh.
I would genuinely pay money to watch them take all of his supplements. Do you remember what the name of his supplements company was?
Oh, it's Free Speech Systems.
Oh, but, okay. Did they not have a specific? Well, regardless,
I forget if they had a shell company. Oh, there's a whole bunch of shell companies owned by Mr. Jones and his parents.
His parents are involved.
Yeah, so they had this bid during the bank. A long story short, they had this bid during the bankruptcy. As soon as the judgment came down, another corporation popped up and said, "Oh, actually, we have a promissory note for like all the money in the world." So actually, Free Speech Systems owes us all this money. And they immediately started sending all this money to that company, and that company was owned exclusively by Jones and his family. So it was basically a bid to like
try to keep it all,
to shuffle the assets to another entity that had not have a massive judgment against it. It ultimately failed.
Yeah.
Because that is a pretty patently transparent attempt to evade the bankruptcy court.
Yeah. I wonder, could that itself be illegal? Who knows? We're not bankruptcy lawyers. We're not lawyers at all, even.
Well, I mean, that and Jones's legal strategy have basically never been seen before. So, like, ignoring lawsuits is not a way to win them.
No, that's for sure.
But he has promised to challenge the sale in court. So we'll see what happens.
Wow.
And that's the biggest news story I had today. It was a big one. But Lindsey, I hear we have something more local. What have we got on the docket today? Tell me who our near unfortunate subject is this evening.
We are talking about a hot, fresh story. At the time of recording, this is just 4 weeks old. So, Washington defense attorney John Sheeran was charged with smuggling drugs into his clients in prison. Just crazy. Why would you think you could get away with that? Before we get into it, this is all alleged. Nothing has been proven. He's pled not guilty to these crimes. So
okay. And is this in state or federal court?
This is federal court.
Which district is it in?
Western Washington District.
District.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, that sets the stage. Tell us about the indictment. I would love to know the details of what's going on here.
So, do you want to hear about the indictment, or do you want to hear just a little bit about him and his history?
Tell me about his background.
He is 60 years old.
Okay.
And he's from Tacoma.
Okay.
Pierce, Washington, right between Seattle and Olympia.
All right.
He was barred in 1996. Okay. So he's been practicing for almost 30 years.
1 year longer than I've been born. So,
wow.
As a former child myself, I have authority to say I did not exist at the time when he was admitted to the Washington State Bar.
As a former child, I can attest. This is a long time. So 28 years he's been practicing. First 20 of those, he worked as a public defender. But since then, he's been private for the last 8 years. He worked at Puget Law Group, which is quite well known in the area.
They're one of the largest personal injury and criminal defense firms in the Pacific Northwest, I think.
It's a big deal.
Nice. Well done.
They have fully scrubbed him from the firm's website, except for some old blog posts on the website. Nice. And we know nobody reads those anyways, so he's scrubbed.
But we do. We'll make fun of you. Stay on the straight and narrow. Yeah, exactly.
You better.
All right.
2 more little things. 3 more, actually. He appears to have no previous bar discipline record. So this is the first time he's ever been, quote unquote, caught.
He was saving it up.
Nice. I like that.
Dude was charging up a super crime, I guess.
And it still didn't even work.
Allegedly.
He
got caught pretty quick, I hope.
In 2018, he ran for a seat county district court bench, but he lost.
Okay.
And he was elected as the fire commissioner of the West Pierce Fire and Rescue.
That's actually pretty cool.
He was basically a fire chief. Kind of like the administrative version of a fire chief. That is pretty cool.
All right. He shuts down buildings for a living. Most of the time, which is critical work. Make no mistake. Yeah.
Shuts down buildings and allegedly brings drugs to prisoners. All right. Are you ready to get into the indictment?
Got to feed the community. Yeah.
That's true. All right, so this is how it went down.
All right.
Other than Sheeran, there were allegedly 5 people involved. Including Sheeran. Goodness gracious, math. There were 5 people total involved.
That's why we're in the legal industry. We couldn't count. We don't like blood.
Who needs it? 3 of those individuals were in prison, and 2 of those in prison were Sheeran's clients.
Okay.
So, one of those clients is currently on trial for premeditated murder, robbery with a deadly weapon, burglary, and felony kidnapping.
Anything about the drugs?
No, nothing about drugs in either of these clients' rap sheets.
Wow. Okay.
The other client was on trial and has since been found guilty of premeditated murder and unlawful possession of a firearm.
Okay. I'm guessing, pure speculation, I'm guessing they're waiting to see how the indictment of the attorney runs out, or maybe they've secured plea agreements for cooperation against their former defense attorney.
Maybe. They're probably working on that right now.
I really wonder how that'd shake out. Okay, please continue.
We'll update you as this case goes on. So we'll find out. Let's see here. So those 2 clients, they were in King County Correctional Facility, which is in downtown Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
They
actually only like 3 blocks from where we are recording this.
Really close by.
So 3 or 4 blocks. Yeah, exactly.
I looked it up before we started recording. I was like, wait, really? Anyways, in this correctional facility, they met another inmate named Michael Barquette. He has past involvement in a case of bribery and conspiracy to distribute drugs.
That's the number 1 crew man. Like,
yeah, he knows what's up. He's the leader.
When he hit the crew montage, that was the first guy he called.
Yeah, he's at the front of the pyramid in the slow-mo walk forward shoot, you know?
Yeah, one last job before retirement.
Exactly.
Was it Jason Statham who's like the beekeeper and he's like, one more job. And then he does one more job and then the next movie and in 1 year he's like, okay, fine, I'll do one more job. Yeah, exactly.
Who needs bees? So, according to the indictment, how this all went down, Barquette had a contact outside who would allegedly supply Sheeran, our attorney, with drugs, and then Sheeran would smuggle them into his clients on legal visits, and then the clients and Barquette would allegedly sell the drugs in prison.
Did we know if he got a kickback from the sale?
We don't. The indictment does not say anything about that. I'm curious about it, though.
Probably. But IRS will get him for tax evasion because he didn't declare the illegal income.
Yeah. He didn't sign the right form declaring the $10,000.
Okay, that's actually pretty clever,
right?
I hate to plug drug smuggling in the King County Correctional Facility, but I will plug drug smuggling in the King County Correctional Facility. You can quote me on that.
And they've got some clever ways too.
Yeah, like tell me. Already on its face, that's actually a pretty ingenious scheme. Tell me the specifics.
The drugs specifically were methamphetamine, buprenorphine.
Who among us?
Ketamine and THC. So that's what they were bringing in. One note, the smugglers allegedly disguised the drugs. The indictment alleges that they disguised the drugs purposefully to give Sheeran the opportunity to plausibly deny knowledge of the drugs. So they totally obscured the drugs in ways where he never allegedly, assumingly, saw them. So he can plausibly deny that he didn't know that there were drugs in whatever he was doing. So
do you mean like they packed it out of his line of sight?
Yes, that and I think this is so cool. Check this out. There were 3 things that they did.
Okay.
The simplest thing, they took cans of tobacco, emptied them out, replaced them with drugs, and then resealed the cans.
Oh, like with shrink wrap? Or I think
with plastic. It wasn't specified exactly how, but I think it was plastic. The next step up, hiding drugs in the shoes of trial clothes.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah. So I believe how it was the shoe heel would click open, and then there was a compartment underneath it or something like that.
And then defense, a lot of defense firms have a rotating, or at least I know some defense attorneys that have a rotating wardrobe that they have like standard sizes. So if their clients don't have, tailors won't really go to prison that often.
Yeah.
So if clients don't have standard clothes, they will sometimes get loaned from the law firm so they can look presentable at court. But what this might mean is that there's a revolving door with the shoes going back and forth. That's quite smart.
Interesting. But then the third one, this is my favorite. They would take legal documents, maybe they were relevant, maybe they weren't, doesn't really matter. They would take legal documents and soak them in the drugs.
Like in liquid meth?
Yes, exactly. Liquid meth and liquid ketamine. And then, allegedly, Sheeran would just simply hand them off to his clients as legal documents.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Critical follow-up question.
Okay.
How does one smoke a pleading?
That's a great question.
Like, what did they? Okay, it's like, yay! I've got suspiciously soggy legal documents in my cell now. Like, what do I do? Do I eat it?
I think that's what it is. I think that if you like treat it like acid, cut out a little square, put it on your tongue, and it'd just absorb. I think
it's like a little menthol tablet, like a little mint.
Yeah, menthol, meth.
I mean, who knows?
Same.
Who among us?
But the indictment alleges that Barquette said that one sheet of this paper was worth $4,800. Which is much money for one sheet of paper.
That's finally got how he got his billables in, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
How he made the money.
That's crazy. So the guy who was in for fraud is on the outside. And the guys in for, hopefully, for murder are in jail. That's the in-house distributors.
There's 5 total. So there's 5. Sheeran, our attorney, and then his 2 clients are both in jail. Their friend who's making the drugs, the ringleader, is also in jail.
Distributor. So who's the fraud guy?
The 5th is just the contact who's doing the drugs. So there's just those 5 people involved.
Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm. So they were the mules, and he was just directing the whole thing as the attorney involved to get them in the room with your attorney and then hand off the clothes. Okay, which was all packed out of sight to give him possible deniability. So then my question is, how do the feds they've got like a 98% successful conviction rate at the federal level. So how do the feds realize that he knew? Or how do they allege?
That's the big question here.
How do they allege that he knew? Yeah.
That is not stated in the indictment or any of these documents, unfortunately. I think that's the big key here, is because they can clearly prove that the drug smuggling happened. The question is whether he knew. So that's what the court is really going to have to get after when they come into this. I'm excited about that one.
That's very interesting. It's possible they may be trying to hold their cards because they may have a key witness that they don't want to make public yet. Ooh. That will all come out, hopefully. It will all come out in discovery, which in criminal proceedings is basically the state handing over all the evidence it has. And actually, prosecutors get in trouble if they don't hand over all the evidence they have.
And his jury trial is scheduled for mid-December.
Mid-December 2024?
Yep.
So next month.
Yep. So it's coming up.
We will create a follow-up episode for this one. I think, and this is a pattern. I've remarked on this before, but where you either see the very, very young guys committing the massive fraud, or getting sanctioned. Excuse me, not necessarily fraud, but like you see the young guys getting sanctioned, and then you get the end of career towards retirement guys who just realize that it's really hard to get sanctioned, and then they cut corners. Luckily, the ones we hear about are the ones who cut too many corners. Yeah. But the distribution is very bimodal.
For sure. So he's one of these older guys. I haven't even gotten into the order of events here.
Tell me, give us the timeline. Yeah, give me the cliff notes.
The timeline. Okay. So November 2022, that's when this allegedly started. Using what the indictment describes as coded language, the prisoners arranged the plan over phone calls and video calls with Barquette's outside contact, who then communicated with Sheeran directly. They spent a few weeks making arrangements, and then around December 5th, 2022, Sheeran went to the contact's house in Burien and picked up 17 sheets of paper soaked in methamphetamine and 2 in ketamine.
I really hate how I guessed that meth was the liquid. I hate that for me, honestly.
Damn it.
Damn it.
You know too much.
Not good, yeah.
So allegedly he delivered them to one of his clients 2 days later, December 7th, 2022. And he could just hand them off in a binder, which is absolutely crazy. And then a month later, January 3rd, Sheeran visited that contact again. He picked up 12 meth papers and then 2 cans of the tobacco meth.
Tobacco Supreme.
Yeah. Really, really, really good shit.
Spare a thought for how diabolical liquid ketamine is. Oof. That definitely sent several people into orbit at the factory by accident. There's no way that one guy did not poison several people and or small children before getting it to the jailhouse.
Oh man, what a mess!
Concentrated liquid ketamine. The sufficient to, because the paper I presume it was dried by the time it reached the courthouse. Oh God, I hope it was. Who knows? But it was dried. But in order to be, thousands of dollars per page, there's got to be some pretty high concentrate in there.
Yeah.
Which means I wonder if surface contamination like if a guard touched it, or if his good Lord Sheeran's assistant or staff or colleagues touched it and then touched other surfaces. The thing about fentanyl, for the audience, long story short, the thing about fentanyl poisoning people just when you touch it, that's a myth. So there's actually a lot more resistance to skin absorption than people think. However, touching contaminated surfaces and then touching your mouth or eyes, that absolutely will get into your bloodstream.
Scary.
If it's potent enough. So we don't have any information, I don't think, of anyone getting injured that way, but that's like, I'm scrubbing the halls of like everything that defense attorney has touched because it's like a genuine health hazard.
I had not considered that.
That's what I think about.
Wow. The law group that he worked for, I wonder if they did any like call in some maids in hazmat suits.
Well, the first thing they did when this indictment dropped was probably lost their fucking minds.
What is John doing?
Because I see their billboards all over the place. Puget Law Group, for those outside the Pacific Northwest.
TV too.
Yeah, a pretty dominant group. I think they got their start. I have not checked their firm website, so this might be active misinformation, but I think they got their start as like one of those DUI firms.
That sounds about right.
They're not the DUI away guys, but they kind of had that energy for a while.
100 DUI away.
And then they got huge, and now they do all sorts of criminal defense and also personal injury. It's like sort of a dual practice. But the black and red now flies high with pride, I guess. And this guy, I presume, stepped down. They've scrubbed him from the website. I don't think we have a source that says he's still technically an equity holder, but he's got to have at least stepped down and stepped away from the business. Maybe he hasn't lost his equity yet. But the politics there have not got to be favorable right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there's got to be zero communication, right? Like everyone in the firm must have just cut him off.
One really pissed off secretary who still has to take his calls.
Oh, that poor person.
Well, I mean, and it's interesting because the shareholders of, I'm giving Puget Law Group a hard time here, but I'm gonna go for their, up for their defense a little bit and say, like, when you have a business structure that's so inherently linked to partnership as a concept, your business. Puget Law Group is large, but they're actually not that large. As part of a business, law firms are all tiny. Like Denton's, I think the very largest law firm on planet Earth. It's only like 1,500, 1,700 people. And here we got Amazon and Microsoft employing like 300,000 people, right? And so we have to appreciate that, like, when you have so few individuals' bodies in the building and you have a pyramid-shaped parabola where the people at the top hold all the equity and are looked up to as really powerful leaders within the organization. If even one or two of them does something stupid, it could really have giant impacts on PR and ramifications for everyone involved. That's also part of why it's so difficult to get partnerships at law firms. People know this. Yeah. And this is just one sad example. So I really feel for Puget Law's, position right now.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't want to be dealing with any of this.
I also wonder if some crazy partner didn't propose leading into this, being like, we know what we're about.
Oh, interesting. That would be crazy.
It would be diabolical, wouldn't it? But like,
we're the drug smuggling lawyers law team.
Kind of like the Onion. Yeah, kind of like the Onion. Puget Law Group has the opportunity to do the funniest thing possible right now.
And lean into it hard. What other drugs can we soak sheets of paper in?
Because we got on deck liquid ketamine, liquid meth.
Oh yeah.
THC?
Yep.
Come on, guys, light work. Like, what's going? Like, get some black tar heroin in there.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to diversify this selection.
I have never smuggled Schedule I substances into King County Correctional Facility, not even once.
Great.
But if I were to, I would definitely. Well, because like the reason why drugs get so strong over time, drugs under prohibition have gotten so strong, is because drug smugglers are in it for the money. And if you get the same amount of potency into a smaller physical space per unit, you're making more money. So that's why THC from the 1980s to 2011, the illicit THC market, THC has increased in potency by it's like doubled in strength.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and similar with every other substance, that illicit substance on the market.
Yeah. And yet, isn't it that fruits are slowly but surely losing their nutritional content as we breed fruit? So our drugs are getting stronger and our fruit is getting weaker. Great.
It's the duality of man.
Yeah.
It's the duality of man.
Priorities.
And anyways, what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to get at is, anyways, that THC is a bad business decision. That's what.
There you go.
That's what I'm trying to get get at.
Because it's really like it takes up so much space for how little it does compared to meth and ketamine.
Well, that and also customers won't pay that much for it. It's like,
that's true.
Hey,
it's
dude,
so much more normal.
Hey, bingo boingo, I've got this here weed edible, and then I've also got liquid ketamine. And you'll end up in jail, you'll felony for it either way.
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well get your bang for your buck.
Get your trips worth out of it.
It's the free market. It's really good at distributing, scarce resources.
Oh my gosh. We haven't even finished the timeline. Getting so sidetracked.
Okay. Please continue.
Anyways, where did we leave off? His second visit, his alleged January 3rd visit where he dropped off the 12 meth papers and 2 cans of tobacco meth. That's what I've decided to call it, tobacco meth.
Tobacco meth?
Yep. No hyphen, one word, tobacco meth.
Do not give the tobacco merchants any ideas. They will,
good point.
They will find us. They're already in the walls right now, actually.
They're going to steal my ideas. All right. Following month, March 2023, Sheeran allegedly picked up from the contact 2 cans of tobacco. Oh, wait. This wasn't just tobacco meth. It was also tobacco THC and tobacco Suboxone.
See, they were kind of having fun.
And this is where he picked up the trial clothes with the meth in the shoes. So that was March 2023.
Okay.
However, this is when he gets caught.
Oh, he got caught right away.
It's the shoes.
Oh.
Yep, I believe this was his 3rd trip in. It's not a lot,
he cooked up a new enterprise and immediately got busted.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, this was March 2023, and they started in November 2022.
Good.
So
yeah, you love to hear that.
Less than 6 months.
Only 6 months and 3 trips. So not only did this business go nowhere, but they did hardly anything and
took a long time.
Then it failed immediately.
Yes.
Amazing. Hello, everyone. Quick interlude. Please send this podcast to someone who might enjoy it. Like, follow, comment, subscribe on our socials. Go to our website. We value listener submissions, and we're putting in this CTA to help us grow our audience. Please, gossipwithoutprejudice.com. Back to the show.
So the shoes, the officer checking all the goods coming into the prison checked the shoes and discovered the ruse. The shoes together contained 52.6 grams of powdered meth.
Okay.
Apparently, one dose can be anywhere from 0.1 to 0.5 grams. So this is a lot.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, because an 8-ball is cocaine, right?
Zero clue.
Zero clue.
Couldn't tell you.
Someone Urban Dictionary that, but I'm pretty sure I have dosage means nothing to me when it comes to Schedule 1 substances.
I got nothing, man.
A lot of cocaine or a lot of meth.
Lots of meth. Yep,
Okay,
lots of meth in the shoes. And since that time was discovered when he brought the shoes, and I believe he brought the papers in that time, but he still had the 2 remaining cans of tobacco meth.
Okay.
And all the others.
It's for personal use.
Sure. But he did give it back to the contact, yeah.
Okay.
There was a whole thing where like Barquette and his contact were like, has he given back the tobacco cans that he couldn't smuggle in yet? This is interesting. The indictment, so since these people were in prison, they were communicating with the contact on video calls. And so there are screenshots in the indictment from these video calls.
Because they're recorded.
Yep. They're recorded.
This is also why it's important to meet with your lawyer in person in jail because all outbound communications are monitored.
That's what they did. They did the private room for the attorney visits, but for the communication with the contact, there's eventually 2 months later, 2 months after he got caught with the shoes, he allegedly met the contact at a 7-Eleven in Burien and gave back the 2 cans.
Very classy.
Yeah, very classy. 7-Eleven in Burien.
Extremely classy. 7-Eleven meth tobacco trade-off.
And there's a screenshot of the contact and Barquette on a video call, and she's holding up a piece. Apparently, on this video call, the audio was broken or something like that. So she's holding up a piece of paper that says, "Hi, how are you?" The old man gave back those 2 things.
They put it in writing on a video.
It's exactly, maybe not exactly, almost exactly what it says. And this
also,
just in the indictment. Yes.
Women can be drug smuggling bastards too? Allegedly.
Yeah. Yes.
Way to go.
Way to go.
Honestly, You'll love to see it. You know, women. I want to see more women run small businesses in this community. I'm so proud of the progress we've made since the 80s.
She's a mover and shaker. You know,
it's so comical. Like
literally,
the audio is broken. Plus, let's put this in writing forever to
it's
be
like
immortalized.
a college ruled sheet of paper and like black Sharpie.
I just love those two things. Well, okay, I will say it's better than I'm making up like stupid code names like. Has the albatross left the building, Blue Bear? Like, you know, that would be pretty fun.
Did you get the cookies yet?
Did you?
Have they been delivered? Did the bakery deliver the cookies?
Lesson learned, if you're going to be drug smuggling in a King County Correctional Facility, make sure your code names are rad as hell.
Yes, because we want to laugh about them when we talk about you.
We really need some more code names in our mess shoes. Okay.
So that was it. They were caught after just less than 6 months of doing this, allegedly doing this.
All right.
Charges they were filed October 16th against all 5 of them.
Okay. Hell yeah.
He has pled not guilty, and his jury trial, like we said, is scheduled for later in December.
All right.
So again, the burden will be here to prove that he knew that it was drugs that he was smuggling and not just random things that he was given by this lady who he didn't know.
Yep. Has he, do we know when his arraignment was off the top of our head?
I do not know. I don't know. All I know specifically
is
that charges were filed on October 16th. That's all I've got for specific dates. And that's it. That's the story of John Sheeran's alleged drug smuggling.
You know, the stars that burn the brightest burn the fastest.
Yeah, the 60-year-old man.
Yeah, John Sheeran. What was it? John Sheeran?
Yeah, John Sheeran.
John Sheeran. I keep saying Ed Sheeran.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I keep like, John, no, not that John, the other. So that's why I called him Sheeran in this.
Yeah, devastating to Ed Sheeran's PR team right now.
Seriously.
Devastating. Local legend, not pop star, John Sheeran. Got his business off the ground, immediately nosedive, destroyed his legal career.
Kaboom.
Now, we don't have any news of bar disciplinary actions from ODC yet,
correct.
do we? Okay.
According to the Washington State Bar Directory, his license is still listed as active. That's all we got.
My guess, and I'd actually want to talk to an ethics attorney about this. I always thought that once you get charges. Actually, no, saying that out loud. What I was going to say is that once you get charges filed, you get your license suspended. But that wouldn't make sense because there hasn't been a finding yet.
Yeah.
So that you need your day in court.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, until proven guilty. So I'm going to guess he's going to stay active, but under the radar until he gets convicted and possibly any appeals.
I'm going to guess that he's just going to chill out at home. Just not do anything.
That will not stop ODC from eating all of his lunches. The moment a guilty verdict comes down, now he may appeal, but in general, if there's any misapplication of law from the judge, but in general, an order stands until it is overturned, unless it's stayed by a higher court actively. But if it's not stayed, then his conviction stands until an appeals court says so, and that takes years.
So it might be a little while until we have updates.
Well, I certainly want to get the guilty verdict next month because that's a crazy one.
Yeah, I want to take out all the alleged. Just say this is what he did. We can't do that because we don't know.
This is so alleged right
now.
This
is so alleged.
We are not back yet. But maybe in a couple months, allegedly,
maybe
we will be so fucking back for this story. Anyways, everybody. That's our show. Thank you so much for joining us for another week of Gossip Without Prejudice.
I think you might be forgetting something.
Oh, what am I forgetting? Oh, shit.
We
the
have
show
a whole
where
nother
we
game.
don't have where we don't have an exit script.
The show where we forget what we're doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show where two people don't know how to host a podcast. We have one more segment called Lindsey Takes the Bar Exam. Editors, keep that bit in. That was funny. Where we take Lindsey, someone who does not have a strict legal background, and feed her legal questions and sees what happens. So, Lindsey, I believe you're coming fresh off of defeat last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Paige got it and I lost it. Yep.
Thank God, because we're going to be employing her as an associate at Hemet Law Group.
Thank God she was the one who got it right.
Honestly, dodged a bullet with that one. That would have been a big fat L. The crisis averted, though. But in any case, I've got 2 questions for you. Actually, we'll do one and we'll see how long it takes because we've already kind of run over today. But
I'm ready.
Let me pull up the right one here.
I gotta phase into my quote unquote lawyer brain that doesn't exist.
A man has 4 German Shepherd dogs that he has trained for guard duty. And then
Okay.
he holds for breeding purposes. The man has beware of dog signs clearly posted around a fenced-in yard where he keeps the dog securely.
Hmm.
The man's next-door neighbor frequently walks past the house and knows that knows about the dog's ferocity.
Hmm.
One summer day, the neighbor entered the man's fenced-in yard to retrieve a snow shovel that the man had borrowed during the past winter.
Uh-oh.
Big 3 guesses what happens. The neighbor was attacked by one of the dogs and was severely injured in a suit against the man. Is the neighbor likely to prevail?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I should know this one, but
You don't. That's why we're having you answer. Would you like the multiple choice answers?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
yeah. A, no, because the neighbor knew that the man had dangerous dogs in the yard. B, no, because the neighbor was trespassing when he entered the man's property. C, yes, because the neighbor was an invitee for the purposes of retrieving the shovel. D, yes, because the man was engaged in an abnormally dangerous activity.
He wasn't. So it's not that one. He was just walking with a shovel.
Walking with a shovel? Who among us hasn't died, been attacked by German Shepherds?
I saw someone walking with a shovel the other day and I freaked out. I called the police.
I loosed all 5 of my schnauzers on him.
And all 3 of my shih tzus.
He was eaten alive like a
You should have seen his ankles.
Devastation. Okay, so we've eliminated D.
Yeah. The question of whether or not the man is liable, that's tough because there's explicit warnings, beware of dog, but there's no warning that says, if you enter, my dog will bite you. Beware of dog technically is pretty vague. So I wonder if that would be protective enough. If you would please reread me the multiple choice.
Yes, I'll review the 3 that you haven't eliminated.
Yes, thank you.
A, no, because the neighbor knew that the man had dangerous dogs in the yard. B, no, because the neighbor was trespassing when he entered the man's property. And C, yes, because the neighbor was an invitee for the purposes of retrieving the shovel.
I'm going to say C, yes, because he was an invitee.
You want to lock that in?
I'm going to lock that in, but I don't feel very confident about
You're
it.
going to lock that in? That C is incorrect.
Damn it.
The answer is no, A, because the neighbor knew the man had dangerous dogs in the yard.
Okay.
Now, this one's sort of cheating because there's actually no information in the question that says he was invited on the property. So you can eliminate questions C and D just from that.
I was thinking that as I said it. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
He did go onto the man's property to retrieve the shovel.
But he wasn't formally invited.
He wasn't formally invited. Now, at least within the bounds of this question. Probably he was at some point invited and it's just not in the prompt. But that's not really the legal reason why you would eliminate those 2 questions.
Sure.
He was invited for the purposes of retrieving the shovel. You still, remember, you are aware that you still owe a duty of care to guests on your property. Reasonable. There has to be, even trespassers have a right to not be blown to smithereens by a landmine on your property. There's various public policy for that, but we just basically don't, as a society, don't want people authorizing deadly force against people who just wander around, who might be lost. First responders might have to go into a property. D is also eliminated because walking into a yard is not an abnormally dangerous activity.
Yep.
Maybe that might open him up to civil trespassing. But there's also no damages. Just doesn't really make sense as an answer.
Yeah.
B is also wrong because no, the neighbor was trespassing when he enters the man's property. That's true, allegedly. But that doesn't absolve you of the liability for your dog ripping someone to shreds.
Yeah.
That just means that he has a counterclaim. There's counterclaims over the same nexus of facts as they'd sue each other.
That would be so productive.
Yes, exactly. So the answer is A, no, because there were signs. He was warned. His actions contributed to the incident. The dogs didn't get loose. There was a fence he had and a barrier he had to get through.
Chose to enter the barrier.
Exactly.
So let it be known, folks, if you approach a house and it says, beware of dog, and the dog attacks you, that's your fault.
Well, I will say this is adjacent to another issue called strict liability. Here in Washington, there is strict liability for dog bites. So even if someone comes up and scares or annoys or injures your dog, maybe not for the injured one, but in general, if someone annoys the shit out of your dog and then your dog bites someone, you got to pay. It's up to you, generally speaking, to pay for the damage your dog causes. But the MBE, the bar exam we are reading from, is a general purpose examination that is not specific to Washington. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
There you go. So look up your local laws.
Yeah, talk to an attorney.
Before you get attacked by your neighbor's dogs.
Don't get legal advice from a podcast. I beg you. I beg of you.
Especially not us.
Lindsey, take 2 for roll of credits. Do we want to do the outro? Have we finished all our segments? Am I forgetting
think we're
anything
all
else?
set.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the second attempt for the closeout of another episode of Gossip Without Prejudice. Please give us a like, follow, share this podcast with anybody who you may be interested in, or if you want to send us crazy stories from across the legal industry that you want us to anonymize and feature, we would love to hear from you. gossipwithoutprejudice.com. That's gossipwithoutprejudice.com. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We appreciate you. Adios.